Hello, everybody. Introducing. Is it Scottish? Wait, no, I'm not doing Scottish. I'm trying to do Welsh. Let's see. New Year's coding, or I think the name is growing on me, by attempting Welsh accent. Is it Russian? Damn it, it became a Russian, didn't it? We'll just call it a sleeper agent and say it was planned. Anyway. Oh wait, wrong.
Teach the parent.
Wrong thing. Blender. There we go. I don't think I actually shouted out this guy. His name is Pixo3D. Pixxo.
That's what we call the armature. You can call it whatever you want, but what we're interested in when we're naming is naming these individual bones underneath this group called armature. Okay, does that make sense? So let's now take this main bone over here. Let's select this top knob at the top. You can actually click on that knob and select it. We're going to go G, Z, and bring it down so our bone is a little bit smaller. We're then going to click on this bone, and we're going to go Shift D to duplicate. You can right click to let go, and then you can go G to move it. And if you press Z after you've pressed G, you can limit it to the Z location. But you can see now it's you can't really.
One moment.
You can go G to move it, D to duplicate. It's smaller. We're then going to click on this bone, and we're going to go Shift D to duplicate. You can right click to let go.
That's the start the stream alarm. One moment. Shift D. Right click and then G. X.
And then you can go G to move it. And if you press Z after you've pressed G, you can limit it to the Z location. But you can see now it's we can't really see it inside of our character. I've moved it up in there. If you go Z and you go wireframe, you can see that. Another thing you can do is if you're in solid mode, is just enable the X-ray here, which is what I'm going to do. You could also, and I'll quickly mention this in case you don't know, let's just say you were in solid, you can go over to your object data properties, you can go over to viewport display, and you can go in front. And it doesn't matter where you're looking from, your bones will always be in front of the mesh or whatever you're working with. I'm going to turn that off, and I'm just going to rely on the X-ray over here. If you want to toggle that on and off, you can go Alt-Z, and then go Alt-Z again, and that's just a shortcut for that. In X-ray mode now, let's take this new bone, and that's just called main.001. Let's now come here. Let's go to our bone, and let's just call this hip, because this is going to be our hip bone. We're just going to go G, Z, and move it down till it's sitting more.
Yeah, that creates a completely new armature rather than... So wait, how do I... Okay. Shift D, G, X, G, Z. There. Then I'm going to try do that. Did I just delete it? Dang it. Hmm. Okay. No, that makes another armature. How do I data bone collections? I don't want. I don't want a completely new armature, I just want another bone. Let's see, Shift A, then armature, single bone. That makes another armature. How do I add to the skeleton? It can't possibly want me to make another armature for every single bone. Nope. Delete. Let's see. Mirror. Copy and paste? No, that would just end up duplicating the object. Is it? No, that's the exact same thing as the other one. I assume there's some form of difference, but oh well. Mirror. Y. Pretty sure. Control Z, Control Z. Mirror X. Control Z didn't do. And then mirror Z. Oh, that. Okay. That turns it around, makes it face the other way. Add bone collection, remove bone collection, remove unused collections. We don't know what bone collection is. What is bone collection supposed to do? If I hover over it long enough, wait a minute, is this like for an arm, leg, torso, so that you can have multiple bones that are trying to be treated as sort of the same thing? I don't know if that makes any sense in practice. There. How do I make more bones? Bendy bones, no. Relation. Relations, deform, viewpoint display, display as, bone color, pose bone, custom shape, nah. Custom properties. Tool, render, output, view layer, scene, world, collection, object, the armature. Okay. No, thank you. Okay, I'll just assume that's good enough for now until I realize it's off. I don't want a custom shape. Deform. Shift A. Oh wait, no, that's wrong thing. Shift D. It doesn't let me copy individual bones. It lets me... And now Shift D doesn't want to work for some reason. Can I merge these two? What? Sorry. Let me duplicate the tab so that I don't lose where I'm at.
Over to
And then use the model I'm
Right here, I have two kinds of skeleton. One skeleton and second skeleton. This skeleton, the bones are connected, tail to head. Usually we use this kind of the skeleton.
Yeah, but how do I do that? Huh? What? It just made another armature with under a different name.
Or organic, such as human arm. Another kind of
Okay. Okay. That could work. Subdivide. What? Doesn't subdivide. No. First off, boom, boom. Okay. Now then, subdivide. Oh, right. Split? Okay. Split there. Okay, one. There we go. Alright, that's literally all I think I needed.
Your object data properties. You can go over to viewport to display, and you can go in front. And it doesn't matter where you're looking from, your bones will always be in front of the mesh or whatever you're working with. I'm going to turn that off.
Goodness, I want this to be straight up and down. Okay, G up. Make this, instead of main one, make it hips.
Off. And I'm just going to rely on the X-ray over here. If you want to toggle that on and off, you can go Alt-Z, and then go Alt-Z again, and that's just a shortcut for that. In X-ray mode now, let's take this new bone, and that's just called main.001. Let's now come here. Let's go to our bone, and let's just call this hip, because this is going to be our hip bone. We're just going to go G, Z, and move it down till it's sitting more around here. We're going to select that top knob, and we go G, Z, and bring it down. Now, if you're making a more complex rig, generally I would have it like this, so we can rotate the hip, because this is where it's actually going to be pivoting. But we're trying to keep things a little bit simpler here, so we're just going to leave it as...
Okay, I can just mirror it Z, because that doesn't look phallic.
It is for now in this case. So about here, and we now have a hip bone, and we're going to go to our right orthographic view by pressing 3 on a number pad, and we're going to select...
Oh, are you kidding me? Where was I?
And we're going to go to our right orthographic view by pressing 3.
Okay, go over here, press 1. There. And... oh. Okay, object mode. G and then X, is that better?
On a number pad, and we're going to select this top knob, and we're going to go G and move it forward. Okay? Something like this, because we have this...
Boom, object mode, edit mode.
curvature in the spine. Now currently, if we were to go into our pose mode where we would control these bones, and we selected our main rig or our main control bone, as you can see here under our pose, because over here now we're into pose mode. So this is a little bit different.
Okay, one moment. What the hell are you talking about?
And we selected our main. If we were to go into our pose mode where we would control these bones, and we selected our main rig or our main control bone, as you can see here under our pose, because over here now we're into pose mode. So this is a little bit different the way you select things. So if you select the main bone, you can see if we move that, the other thing doesn't go along. So we need to actually fix that. Let's go back to edit mode. Select our hip. We're now going to hold in shift and then click on our main bone. And if you now go Control P, you can go make parent and click on keep offset. Now you're going to see this is black line.
What the?
And then click on our main bone. And if you now go Control P, you can
Shift click there, then Control P, keep offset.
go make parent and click on keep offset. Now you're going to see this is black line. If we were to go into our pose mode and select that main bone under our pose, you can now see that that bone goes along. In fact, you can actually see that the main bone here under the pose now has a little drop down, which means that the hip is now a parent or child of this main bone. And that's called a hierarchy. That's going to be very important when we're working with bones. Okay? So let's quickly go back into edit mode. We're now going to select this nub here at the top. In our right orthographic view, we're going to move it up just a little bit. And we're now going to go E to extrude. I'm going to extrude it about halfway here. Then we're going to click on this new bone, come here to our drop down, and you can see it's now under hip because it's
Yeah, there's no thing back here. One moment. Let me show you what he's trying to do. So the reason he's telling me to bring it forward is because there's this thing right here, but since I'm going for a low poly aesthetic, I just didn't bother adding that. And so the reason, so I don't know if I should be bringing it forward. I'm not going to be bringing it as forward as he is, because clearly there's this. But yeah, just to clear that up, he's working with a much more sophisticated model than I am. And then do that. So I can extrude it properly. Is that good?
extrude it from the hip bone, so it is under the hip. This has hierarchical structure over this new bone. And let's just double click on that bone. And let's call it spine underscore 1.
Underscore 1. So this is supposed to be a hierarchy under this. Oh, one moment. Undo that. Shift. No, wait. Control P. Then hip, then spine, then. Yeah.
You can also just come here and click on the bone properties and just name it that way if it's easier. We're now going to select this nub up here, and we're going to go E to extrude.
Okay. Spine 2.
And let's just, so we could either just make this the chest, which I'm going to actually do in this case, but there's sometimes if I'm rigging, if I was making a more advanced rig, I would actually use bendy bones, and there would be a whole bunch of little segments in here to kind of act like vertebrae. But for now, let's just call that, this one over here that we call spine, let's just call spine. Just have one spine bone, okay? Just to keep things simple for beginners. And let's select this bone here now, the new one that we extruded, and let's just call it chest. Okay, that's
Yeah, that is how you spell chest, right? Oh, wait a minute. Okay. I'll just raise that up to about where he is. Does that look about right? Yeah. It would probably be easier if I went ahead and made pretty much all of this face this way instead of this way. This is supposed to be face forward. This is... So I'm doing it a bit backwards. But I don't think there'll be any major problems from it.
chest bone. I'm going to take this one, maybe select the nub here at the bottom and just move it up just a little bit, and then move this one over here in the middle. Okay, so if you now go to your front orthographic view by pressing 1 on the number pad, you can see everything is nice and in the middle, and on the side it's looking nice and curved. We're going to now select this top nub on the chest bone. I'm going to go E to extrude, and this is going to be our neck, so let's click on that. Let's
E to extrude, that's going to be the neck. Boom. I should probably put this... Actually, I'm probably just move this whole thing. X, yeah. I should probably make something like that, but I don't really know if I can.
Let's go over here and call it neck, and then select the top nub, and you can kind of see where we're going with this. We're going to go E to extrude, and extrude it up, and we're going to click on that new bone, and let's call it head. So now we have a bunch of bones here, and if you were to go into pose mode and select this main bone here and go G, you can see everything has the hierarchy structure to that. And if you were to select this hip bone and you go R to rotate it or G to move it, you can see the other bones that have been extruded from it are
Pose mode. Yep. They aren't attached to the cube yet. I just realized I never made it. I never named it anything more than cube. How do I pose mode, object mode, cube. There, Adam. All right.
under its control. This is called forward kinematics because you'd be working your way up.
Yeah.
Pose mode and select this main bone. Maybe select the nub here at the bottom and just move it up just a little bit. A bunch of bones here. And if you were to go into pose mode and select this main bone here and go G, you can see everything has the hierarchy structure to that. And if you were to select this hip bone and you go R to rotate it or G to move it, you can see the other bones that have been extruded from it are under its control. something called IK, which is where we're out of controller, and it's inverse kinematics. And we're going to get to that in a little while, but just so you understand what's going on here, okay? We have a hierarchical structure going on. That's very important to get when you're a beginner. Let's go back to our edit mode. And what we're going to do is everything so far has been in the middle, but we're going to now start modeling only on one side, and then we're going to mirror it over. But naming is going to be important here, the extensions that we use. So what we're going to do is we're just going to select our main bone down here in the front orthographic view and go Shift D to duplicate it and just move it all the way up here. And we're going to go R and we're going to rotate it out this way so the fat end is at the bottom here. And we're going to move that in, and we're going to grab this bit here. We're going to go G and move it in.
Needs to be slightly smaller. Does that look about right?
Now, some people, when they're making a really simple rig, would just start your arm here, and this would be your lower arm bone. But I'm going to make this a clavicle, okay? So I'm going to place it right here, and under my bone properties, I'm just going to call it clav for clavicle. And then I'm going to go into my right orthographic view, and I'm going to select this knob here.
Okay. I don't know how to spell clav. That's probably close enough.
Go G and move it more to the middle of the arm.
Oh. Alright, now, dang it, this is, yeah, I figured this might bite me. So his figure is doing a T pose, mine is doing an A pose, where the arms come down slightly. So he just has to do straight lines, meanwhile I have to figure out how to deal with this curve.
And that's our clavicle. Now the problem is, if we go back to pose mode, if we now move our main bone, you can see that it no longer has a connection there. So what we need to do is select this clavicle in edit mode, and holding in shift, select our chest bone, and then go Control P, then go keep offset. Now this is parented to the chest bone. Okay? Now we can select this knob here, and we can move it to over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go E to extrude, and we're going to extrude it to the middle here.
Oh,
And then
crap.
we go to
One moment. Then extrude it to about here. Then we extrude it to about here.
top orthographic view by pressing 7 on a number pad. So if you're clicking on this video, there's a chance.
Farge. There.
We want it in the middle of the arm here. And then we're going to go E to extrude, move it to where the wrist is. And then E to extrude, that's going to be the hand. Now we're not going to be making fingers in this one here. We'll just keep it basic, just for so you can understand the basic concepts.
Yeah, see, this is one of the things that I need to keep in mind.
Let's just select this hand bone in the top view and go G and move it over here. And then select this little knob and straighten things out. Now if you were going to make fingers, you would simply just duplicate a bone and then place it here where the fingers are and extrude a whole bunch more like this, and then parent that to the hand, right? So that's kind of what you do. It's pretty simple. But for now, I'm not going to go that way. I'm just going to...
And yet I am. One moment. Shift D. Oh, this one actually flippin' works. Okay. And then parent clear. Disconnect bone. Alt P. What the? Oh, crap. I don't know exactly how that. There we are, and then make separate bone. Well, that's clearly not what I wanted. There. And then Shift D. Delete the bone. Then there. Then we'd Shift D. Shrink it. Then extrude, extrude. Actually, X, delete these bones, put that like right there, then rotate it, question mark. Then we can extrude, then we can, actually no, undo that, instead we use G, so this goes to right there, and then we extrude it, and then we extrude it. Nice. Then we extrude this. Split. Go to there. About there. Then we extend it. Then we extend it. Then we Control P, keep offset. Then we just select all of these and then Shift D, Shift D, Shift D, then we rotate them all. And there.
And extrude a whole bunch more like this, and then parent that to the hand, right? So that's kind of what you do. It's pretty simple. But for now, I'm not going to go that way. I'm just going to delete that. So make sure also in the front view that all looks okay. And what we have here is the clav. If you look over here under the bone properties, let's just call this one over here upper arm. And this is going to be very, very important. Dot, capital L. Now,
Upper underscore arm dot L. Where is it? Yeah.
very important that it is very, very important. Dot, capital L. Now it's very important that it is a capital. If you do small letter L, it won't work. If you do comma,
Wait. Okay, yeah, that's his right hand. That's his left hand. Okay. I was confused for a second. And then I'm guessing this is lower underscore arm dot capital L.
L. If you do underscore L, it won't work. It has to be dot, the period on the keyboard, capital L. Now this might be to your right as you're looking at the screen, but it's actually the left side of the character, and that's why we're doing it.
Okay, yeah, palm dot capital L. Ooh. And now this is thumb 1. Dot capital L. Then we can just kind of Control C, Control V, and have this one be thumb 2, and same with this one. Oh crap, I pressed Control C. Oh well. Thumb 3 dot capital L. Yeah, that's Tumb. God, I double checked. Alright. And then instead of that isn't calv, we just have that be index. Oh, index. Underscore finger 1 dot capital L. And then we're supposed to Control C, Control V, and then this is the middle finger. All right. Middle finger 1 dot capital L. Let me Control C that so I can just go over here, and yeah, it's pretty easy. There. Control V. And that's a 3. This is the ring finger. So I do dot at capital L, but I need 1 there. So that's Control C, Control V, but make sure to change the 1 to a 2. Control V, but make sure to change the 1 to a 3. And this is the pinky finger. Dot capital L. Control C. Control V. Control V. And boom. Wait, shouldn't I also make the calv dot L?
Dot L. Make sure you don't get that confused. A lot of people, when they're beginners, kind of get that mixed up. We're going to also select the clavicle and put a dot capital L.
Yeah.
Then we're going to select the lower arm, and we're going to go lower arm, and then dot capital L. It doesn't really matter what work our way down the chain. Okay? And that's not something we want to do. We want to work a little bit more efficiently. So let's set up a simple IK. So we're going to go back to edit mode. And we're going to select this nub over here behind a hand. And in our front view, we're going to go E to extrude and Z, and extrude it up to Z. Then we're going to select this bone and we're going to go Alt.
What the? I'm sorry, but normally there aren't bones there. I'm pretty sure that's a pre-existing. That might be a medical condition. You should get that checked. Gosh, I didn't know I had an extra wrist bone, apparently. Make sure I'm on here. Was it X? Yeah, extrude it out this way a bit.
P, because it's going to be a control bone. We want it to be separate. I'm going to go disconnect bone.
Alt
And
P.
then I'm going to go Alt P. I'm going to go clear parent. We don't want it to have any relationship to the bones around it. And then we're going to take this bone over here.
What the? Wait.
This we're going to go E to extrude. Select this nub over here behind a hand. And in our front view, we're going to go E to extrude and Z, and extrude it up into Z. Then we're going to select this bone and we're going to go Alt P, because it's going to be a control bone. We want it to be separate. I'm going to go disconnect bone, and then we're going to go Alt P, and we're going to go clear parent. We don't want it to have any relationship to the bones around it. And then we're going to take this bone over here, the hand bone, and we're going to hold in Shift and select that IK bone, and go Control P, and go keep offset. Okay? So now if we go into pose mode, we can select this bone here, and go G to move it, R to rotate it. But the problem here, even though that is controlling our hand bone, it's not controlling the rest of the arm. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this IK, holding in Shift, we're going to select the lower arm bone. Then if you go Control, Shift, and C, or Command, Shift, and C, you're going to go here and select Inverse Kinematic. Now this bone has power.
One moment.
If you go Control, Shift, and C,
Alright. Control, Shift, and C. What is it trying to access? Add constraint with target. Oh, he's in pose mode. Maybe that has something to do with it. Control Shift C. There.
or Command, Shift, and C, you're going to go here and select Inverse Kinematic. Now this bone has power over this bone here. So let's select this lower arm bone. Let's go over to our object constraints. Sorry, I meant to say the bone constraint properties. And now we want to go and increase the chain length. So now if we go 1, it increases to just 1 bone. If we move it up the chain, this now has control 2 bones down the chain, which is this bone. And if you went free, it would be this one, and so on, up the hierarchy. But what we're going to do is now select this control bone, G to move it, and you can now see this is what we have. It's controlling those 2 bones and the hand. Now, by the way, if you move anything in pose mode, all you have to do is go A to select everything, and then Alt G to reset anything you've moved, and
Alt G. Oh, right. Sorry. That does one here. Okay, so wait. This is connected to... We're on edit mode. Okay, one moment. Alt P, clear parent, Alt P. I'm not sure exactly how that... Alright. Control P. Nope. Control P, keep offset. What the hell? No. Control Z. 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 Yeah. Okay. You know what? Actually. There. Just unwind that until. Alright. I do not exactly know if that is. Actually, wait. Is that because I didn't disconnect the oh. Never mind. Apparently, I can't disconnect that bone. I can only remove its parents. Noted.
Alt R, and to reset anything you've.
Alright. Pose mode, and then G. Yeah. The problem is that this thumb is behaving as if it's connected to here, and I want it to be connected to. I want these two to be connected. Edit mode. Alright. Alt P, clear parent. Keep offset. What? Alt P. Why can I not? And then shift to that, so it's Control P. Not that one. Noted. Did that? What happened? What? Edit mode. Control P, keep offset. Alright. Edit mode, pose mode, and then. Oh god, it's awful. Control Z, Control Z, yeah, we're just. Alright, has that undone it? Not entirely. There. Wait a minute. Maybe the problem is with this guy? If I delete this bone. No. Go up, extrude, X. Alright, so this guy is coming out of this bone. And now I need to
Shift and
alright, let's see. Pose mode. There.
E and go keep offset. Okay?
Oh, one moment. Right, I need with the. Oh yeah, I need to go into edit mode and do some stuff with this. Alt P.
And in the front view, we're going to go E to extrude and Z and extrude it up to Z. Then we're going to select this bone and we're going to go Alt P because it's going to be a control bone. We want it to be separate. I'm going to go disconnect bone. And then I'm going to go Alt P and I'm going to go clear parent. We don't want it to have any relationship to the bones rendered. And then we're going to take this bone over here, the hand bone. I'm going to hold in Shift and select that IK bone and go Control P and go keep offset. Okay? So now if we go into pose mode, we can select this bone here and go.
Okay, that's what I did. Alright, one more. Need to undo everything until I delete and re-add. Is this, yeah, that's the correct bone. Keep offset, and there. Now then, pose mode. There. Gosh, it's like playing with dolls. It practically just is, but yeah.
G to move it, R to rotate it. But the problem here, even though that is controlling our hand bone, it's not controlling the rest of the arm. So what we're going to do is we're going to select
Aggressive
this
waving.
IK, holding in Shift, we're going to select the lower arm bone. Then if you go Control Shift and C, or Command Shift and C, you're going to go here and select Inverse Kinematic. Now this bone has power over this bone here. So let's select this lower arm bone. Let's go over to our object constraints. Sorry, I meant to say the bone constraint properties. And now we want to go and increase the chain length. So now if we go 1, it increases to this one bone. If we move it up the chain, this now has control 2 bones down the chain, which is this bone. And if you went free, it would be this one, and so on, up the hierarchy. But what we're going to do is now select this control bone, G to move it, and you can now see this is what we have. It's controlling those 2 bones and the hand. Now,
Yeah,
by the
that's
way,
where
if
I'm
you
at.
move anything in pose mode, all you have to do is go A to select everything, and then Alt G to reset anything you've moved, and Alt R and to reset anything you've rotated, or Alt S if you've scaled anything. Okay, the main thing is that in pose edit mode, and when we move something, that's a bit more permanent. So now we have an IK here, right? The thing is as well, just quickly back in pose mode, if we were to actually select our chest here and rotate it, you can see that hand goes nowhere. And if we selected the main bone here and went G to move it, pose mode.
One moment. Pose mode. Yeah, that hand goes nowhere, like he said. Whoa. Yep.
Mode, it's even worse. His hand's just going to be floating there. So let's go back to edit mode. Let's select that IK bone and holding it. So if you're clicking on this video, there's a chance.
Dang it!
So now we have an IK here, right? The thing is as well, the main thing rotated. If you, all you have to do is go A to select everything, and then Alt G to reset anything you've moved, and Alt R and to reset anything you've rotated, or Alt S if you've scaled anything. Okay, the main thing is that in pose edit mode, and when we move something, that's a bit more permanent. So now we have an IK here, right? The thing is as well, just quickly back in pose mode, if we were to actually select our chest here and rotate, you can see that hand goes nowhere. Now if we selected the main bone here and went G to move it in pose mode, it's even worse. His hand's just going to be floating there. So let's go back to edit mode. Let's select that IK bone and holding in shift select the chest, then go Control P and then go keep offset. Now back in pose mode, you can see if we grab the chest,
We grab the chest. And then Control and P, keep offset.
rotate it. Now that is a lot.
Is it not the other way around? Where it's like, if we grab this, rotate. Oh, be danged. What about this? Oh! The hell?
More appropriate. You could actually move the hand, then select the chest and move it, and that'll still move. So press A to select everything, Alt G, Alt R, to set those transforms back. So this is a little bit complicated maybe if you're a beginner, but remember, we can actually parent all this over to the other side when we're done. So it's not too big of a deal. So now we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're just going to be doing it now with the leg, which is pretty much just as simple. And then
Uh-huh.
go on to parent it all over. So now that we're in edit mode, what we're going to do is we're going to actually select our hip bone here in the front orthographic view in edit mode. We're going to go Shift D to duplicate and move it over. Then we're going to select the top pointy part.
Shift D. Where is this in the hierarchy? Right there. And hip dot hip dot L dot capital L. That works. It is different enough to avoid some confusion apparently.
I'm going to point it down, remember? Because this is actually the bit that's pivoting, where it's pivoting. And instead of pointing it down like that, let's just select the whole bone and then go R to rotate it. Or before you even rotate it, let's just go into our right orthographic view and just straighten it out a little bit. And
Oh,
then
crap.
bring that knob down.
Good call. I think that's basically straight down. I wish there was a better way to angle it straight down, straight up, or the X or Y coordinates as well.
Okay, so it doesn't twist as much. Now this is going to be our top bone. Okay, so we're going to put the top bit here, and then our right orthographic view, we're going to bring it a little bit more in the middle. Then we're going to select the bottom nub.
So we're going to bring it slightly closer to the middle.
Alright, and I'm going to go G and bring that down to the knees. And then the right orthographic view, I'm just going to bring it more forward. And you don't want it more back or too much in the middle. You want it a little bit more forward, so there's kind of like a V, a little bit of a bend, a delta. And then you're going to go E and you're going to extrude that knob down to where the ankle is, and then go to your front view, and then go G and make sure to go Control R, you can actually rotate it. If you just went R by itself, this would happen. So go Control R and just rotate it just so it straightens out a little bit. You can do the exact same thing with this bone here. Control R and just rotate it a little bit. Now it's just a little bit neater, like so. So now let's take this bone at the top. I might move it down just a little bit more. Let's select this top bone and let's call that leg, or maybe even upper leg, dot capital L. The dot capital L is
and this is what are the different toes called? Is there like is it index, is it big toe, pinky toe, middle toe, then there's index and ring toe? One moment. Let me look that up. Big toe, index toe, middle toe, ring toe, pinky toe. I was right. Huh. I'll be. Okay. No, not there.
Keyboard E.
Oh, not there either.
It's really important. Then select the lower leg and go lower leg dot capital L. Okay. And then select the bottom knob here. And let's just maybe move it down even a bit more to where the ankle would be. That's not really the ankle. And then go E to extrude. And usually I would make a two-part foot like this. But what I'm going to do here, just for simplicity's sake, let's just this bone that we've extruded, let's just move that out, and that'll be our foot.
Shift D, clear parent. Then we just kind of shrink this. Then we copy paste it. Then we adjust it. I might need to adjust them after I get them over, but big toe, dot capital L. Index toe dot capital L. Middle toe dot capital L. Let's see. Ring toe dot capital L, and then pinky toe dot capital L, and then keep offset. No. Doesn't that mean that I can just Control P, keep offset, and then oh, nice.
Okay. So this one here, I'm just going to select as well and go Control R, and just rotate it just to straighten it out just a little bit. And let's name that foot dot capital L. So now we have all of these named. But let's also just select that back and middle knob here. And let's go to E.
Alright, let's dang it. Oh. No. Boom, 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 boom. There. Then wouldn't there be like a heel or something here?
Extrude and Y, and extrude one out with Y. And I'm also going to just go
Okay.
Control.
So now we have let's see, Alt P
Control R of that one, just rotate it out a little bit. This is going to be our IK, so let's just come here and call that.
wait, what? Something's wrong. This IK
Foot underscore IK dot capital L.
Alright, these are where the other lower legs are. Upper underscore foot dot capital L. Glad I didn't miss these. And then this is lower underscore foot dot capital L. And then IDK, what this is. Alright, so this is he wants me to name this foot underscore capital IK dot capital L. Oh, one moment. Delete that and then X, yeah. So foot underscore IK dot L, capital L.
Because that's going to be our control. Just like this one up here is going to be our, well, we haven't actually named the
Wait, what? Upper leg. One more there. And then Control P, keep offset. Is that how that works? I maybe. Pose mode. Okay, the entire foot is like that. Alright, edit mode.
The hand bone here, right? Let's make sure to do that. Let's just call that hand underscore IK dot capital L. You don't have to call it IK, it just helps to remember. But it
Okay, so this is hand underscore IK dot L.
dot capital L is always really important. So now we have our two IK bones here. With the one down here at the foot, let's go Alt P to disconnect the bone, and Alt P to clear that parent. We don't want it to have any relationship.
Darn it. Okay, select this. Disconnect bone and then Alt P, clear parent.
The bones here, and we also want to take this bone here at the top.
Mm-hmm.
The upper leg bone, and holding in shift after selecting that one.
Okay, that's okay. He's doing the exact same thing I did to connect the leg bone to the hip.
Hip. Control P and go, and then go make parent, keep offset.
Okay.
Also going to select this IK bone down here, holding in shift, select the main control bone afterwards, go Control P and go keep offset. So now if we go into our pose mode, we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to select our IK bone.
Wait, what? And
Holding in shift afterwards, select the lower leg bone and go Control Shift C or Command Shift C.
oh yeah, now we're in pose mode. Alright. Control Shift C. And then
And go inverse kinematic.
inverse kinematics.
And now this bone here has dominance over this bone. So now let's select that yellow bone, go to the bones constraints, and let's make it 2 on the chain length, so it affects 2 bones up the chain. So if we now grab this in pose mode, go G, you can see those 2 bones go along. We can also just go back into edit mode quickly, and then select our foot bone, holding in shift, select our IK, Control P and go make parent, out.
Wait, what?
Edit mode quickly, and then select our foot. We can also just go back into edit mode quickly, and then select our foot bone, holding in shift, select our IK, Control P and go make parent, keep offset. Our little character rig is really coming along. You know, you grab that hip, you can test it, grab the main control, you know, rotate the chest. You can, you know, mess around with the IK here on the arm. All sorts of really cool stuff. But what we're going to do now is we're going to quickly add in some target bones so you can control the rotation of the knee. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to control it. You can do the same thing with your arms, but we'll just do it with the knees here because it's oftentimes very important when you're working with the legs. So let's just quickly go back into edit mode. I'm just going to select this nub over here. I'm going to go E to extrude and then Y. I'm going to just extrude forward onto Y. Then with that bone, I'm going to go Alt P. I'm going to go disconnect bone and Alt P, clear parent. And then go G, Y, and move it forward about that much. And let's go to our bone constraint or bone properties. And let's just call that leg target dot capital L. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into our pose mode.
And then instead of upper leg, all that stuff is just
To our bone constraint or bone properties, and let's just call that leg target dot capital L.
alright. Leg. Dot capital L.
And what we're going to do is we're going to go into our pose mode. I'm going to select this bone over here that we added the constraint to. Let's go over to our bone constraints and let's get a pole target, click on this little eyedropper, and then select our armature. So that tells us the system we're using. And then let's find that bone. So that is our leg, and we called it leg target.l, and let's click on that. Now, not only can we grab this IK and control the bone, the leg, we can also use this guy here. Now you'd notice that there's an issue with the rotation. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this bone here, and we just have to come here to the pole angle and make it 90, and press enter, and that should be correct for the rotation. So we can now come here and you can see just this gives us a lot more control over the direction of our leg. Okay. Now this is a little bit of homework for you guys. The director and press enter, and that should here. And we just have to come here to the pole angle and make it 90, and press enter, and that should be
90. Press enter.
correct for rotation. So we can now come here and you can see this gives us a lot more control over the direction of
Wait. Did I miss a step?
is our leg, and we called it leg target.l, and let's click on that. Now, not only can we grab this IK and control the bone, the leg, we can also use this guy here. Now you'd notice that there's an issue with the rotation, so what we're going to do is we're going to select this bone here, and we just have to come here to the pole angle and make it 90, and press enter, and that should be correct for the rotation. So we can now come here and you can see this gives us a lot more control over the direction of our leg. Okay. Now this is a little bit of homework for you guys. You can do the exact same pull target thing with the arm and put the target at the back here. The exact same way we just did that. So that's going to be a bit of homework for you guys. The exact same way we just did that with the leg. So you call it leg target, and you go in there and add it as a target with this lower arm here. Okay, so now you kind of get where we're going with this. I'm going to press A to select everything.
Wait. I'm pressing Alt G. Is it Control G? Wait, what? The one time.
Anything you've moved, and Alt R to reset anything you've rotated, or Alt S if you've scaled anything. Okay, the main thing is that in pose edit mode, and when we move something that
Alt G. There we go. There we are. Alright. Now then, target bone.
you can see this gives us a lot more control over the direction of our leg. Okay, now this is a little bit of homework for you guys. You can do the at the back here, the exact same way we just So that's going to and put this direction of our leg. Okay. Now, this is a little bit of homework for you guys. You can do the exact same pull target thing with the arm and put the target at the back here. The exact same way we just did that. So that's going to be a bit of homework for you guys. The exact same way we just did that with the leg. So you call it leg target, and you'd go in there and add it as a target with this lower arm here. Okay, so now you kind of get.
X? Yeah, okay. Now just go over here. About a meter, why not? Oh wait. -1 meter. Okay, and then arm target dot L. In that case, it would be shift, and then we go into pose mode, and then we do inverse, we undo whatever that was, and then, okay, do we just do Control P, keep offset?
Clear parent, and then go G, Y, and move it forward about that much. And let's go to our bone constraints or bone properties, and let's just call that leg target dot capital L. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into our pose mode. We're going to select this bone over here because we added the constraint.
A pose mode? What?
Go into our pose mode.
Pose mode.
This bone over here that we added the constraint to. Let's go over to our bone constraints and let's get a pull target. Click on this little eyedropper and then
Oh, okay. It's full target, boom. And then the bone is arm target, yeah. What? Why does that move everything forward? Bone angle should be 90. Nope. Undo that.
select our armature. So that tells us the system we're using. And then let's find that bone. So that is our leg, and we folded leg target.l. Let's click on that. Now, not only can we grab this IK and control the bone, the leg, we can also use this guy here. Now you'd notice that there's an issue with the rotation. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this bone here, and we just have to come here to the pull angle and make it 90, and press enter, and that should be correct for rotation. So we can now come here and you can see this gives us a lot more control over the direction of our leg. Okay. Now this is a little bit of homework for you guys. You can do the exact same pull target thing.
What the hell? Okay, so basically get rid of the pull target. target and oh my goodness. What? Wait a minute. Hmm? This is upside down, so we need to be at 180. That worked. Also, what is going on here? Alt G, just all of that. Alright, no. Wait, huh? Alt G. Oh gosh, that is 180. Okay, yep, that is correct. I don't understand. And then, why? Why? Alt G. And then, what? You know what? All Alt G. Now how do I make it save that? Go to edit mode, go into pose mode, and it's back. I'm going to delete this. Control. Oh gosh. I was pressing Control X instead of Control Z. But why? Pose. Is it 90 degrees here? No. This would be 0 degrees interactions. Why does this keep getting brought up here? What? Control Z. Animation. I want clear animation data. Then Alt G. There we go. I don't know why that took as long as it did. And then 7. No, I'm in pose mode. Yeah, I'll pose this. And 3, and or at least this. And Alt G, K,
We have the arm and put the target at the back here. The exact same way we just did that. So that's going to be a bit of homework for you guys. The exact same way we just did that with the leg. So you call it leg target, and you go in there and add it as a target with this low arm here. Okay, so now you kind of get where we're going with this. I'm going to press A to select everything, Alt G, Alt R, and Alt S, and make sure that everything is named appropriately. Everything has the .L extension. One thing we're going to quickly do before we go on to parenting or mirroring all of this over to the other side is we're going to tell Blender what objects we want to affect the mesh and what objects we don't. So you can see all of these bones in here. They're our deformation bones. And if I was working professionally in the industry like I used to, I would call these DEF underscore and then a name. And that's that's just kind of the industry standard for like deformation bones. And anything that is a control bone would be CON underscore, and that would be your control bones. And usually your control bones don't have any sort of deformation effect on your geometry. So if that sounds complicated, essentially we just don't want any of these bones that are not inside of the mesh here or not doing anything except controlling the deformation bones to not have deformation. So a simple way to do that is to select the bones, like for example the main bone here, go to the bone properties, and then just go and untick deform. Okay, so any of the IK bones, like the one here in deform bone here, go to the bone properties, and then just go and untick deform. Okay, so any of the IK bones, like the one here in the foot, untick deform, the one here on the hand, untick deform, and then the pull target is also just a control, so we can untick deform for that as well. All of the bones that are inside of the mesh here, they need to be deformed, because once we parent this, we want our mesh here to automatically add these vertex grips. Now, I'm just going to go ahead, in fact, while we're here quickly, just make sure you're in pose mode and select a character. Just come to the drop down if you use the same character that I'm using. Just come to the drop down here under the vertex groups under the
What? Oh, in object mode, not okay.
object data properties, and just go
What the?
here to the drop down if you use the same character that I'm using. Just come to the drop down here under the vertex groups under the object data properties, and just go delete all groups, because this is just some of this junk that came in from the old rig when we imported this from Mixamo, right? We just want a blank slate there. So we're going to be anything here that is going to be parented, any of these bones that are going to have an effect on this mesh here will have a bunch of vertex groups that tell these bones what bits of the geometry to use. But we're going to do that automatically, so if that sounds complicated, don't worry. Blender is going to do that pretty good right out of the box for us with just a click of a button. So let's go back into our rig. Let's go into edit mode. And at this point, we can now go in our front orthographic view and select all of the bones that have the .l extension. So all of these bones here, you can hold in shift, click on any ones that aren't selected. And in our front orthographic, just so we can see it nicely, now go to armature and then go symmetrize. And now every single bone.
Okay. Let's see. What?
Now go to armature and then go symmetrize.
Armature and then I think I know what happened there. Oh, it's worse than I thought. Okay. There we go. Now then, object mode. I don't care about you. Atom, armature. Okay. 7. Rotate. 90 degrees. There. Now it should work. And then armature symmetrize. Duff. Rig. Okay, armature. Symmetrize. Minus x2. What do you mean? This is the x-axis. So if it was minus x to positive x, then it should have been over here. One moment. Actually, wait a minute. Can't I just shift in? No. Shift in. Relaunch it. See if recover last session. And then go back to scene. Edit. Okay, we're already in edit mode. And now, armature. Symmetrize. That is not what I want. Let me drag this. Oh my goodness. One moment.
And now every single line.
Okay, so he doesn't have that problem. Alright. No. GX, yeah. Wait, then what? Why do I have that problem? Symmetrize. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. $180. Yeah. Turns out it wasn't that big of an issue. And now, just... Okay. So then... It's slightly off, but to the point where it's good enough.
This one works. This one works here. Really, really cool stuff. Now, if you grab the main control, you can see that these target bones are left behind. So let's just quickly go into edit mode. Just hold in shift and select both of these target bones. And while you're still holding in shift, select the main control. Control P and then go keep offset. Now back in pose mode, we can kind of see if we grab our hip here, okay, everything stays there. We can control our head, we can rotate our chest, our spine, our hip. Once again, keep in mind this is not usually how you do a hip, but for simplicity's sake, that's how we're doing it. We can grab a foot, we can rotate it, we can move it. Okay, here.
Alright. Noted. Edit. Control P. Alright, and then Control P. Is it this? Control P. Can't really tell the difference. Okay. Wait. Right has one more bone than left. Right, and then big toe, index toe, middle toe, ring toe, and pinky toe. Meanwhile, the left foot has upper, lower. What the hell is this? Oh. Nothing, basically. Okay.
Everything is looking really good here. So now let's go into object mode. Let's undo our X-ray toggle. We don't need to see that. Our X-ray mode here. And let's now select the mesh. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hold in shift and select our armature in object mode. And if you now go Control P, you're going to go now to with automatic weights.
Control P with automatic weights.
And just in a second, if you now select your armature or your character under the object data properties, you're going to see all of these bones that we named.
Yeah.
given access to certain parts of this character mesh. And we can now actually select our armature and then go into pose mode. And now, let's just turn X-ray on quickly. Now if you select your control bones, look at that. Now you can see things are a little bit messy here. Get into that in
Huh? No. Okay, so I've done something wrong. Something has failed.
and we can now actually select our armature and then go into pose mode. And now, let's just turn X-ray on quickly. Now if you select your control bones, look at that.
Oh, that's neat, but pose. Yeah, the rig doesn't.
These armature map. And if you now go, so we're going to hold in shift and select our armature. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hold in shift and select our armature in object mode. And if you now go Control P, you're going to go now to with automatic weights.
That's what I did.
And just in a second, if you now select your armature or your character under the object data properties, you're going to see all of these bones that we named now are automatically given access to certain parts of this character mesh. And we can now actually select our armature and then go into pose mode. And now, let's just turn X-ray on quickly. Now if you select your control bones, look at that. Now you can see things are a little bit messy here. We'll get into that in a while, in a little bit, some of these deformations. But overall, Blender did a really good job at doing this kind of quite
Huh? Blender did a really good job here. And then Atom, and then the armature, and then Control P with automatic weights.
out of the box. Right? You can see here, look at that. So congratulations if you've made your first rig this way. Remember, if you've moved anything, just go A to select it all, Alt G, Alt R. And if you've scaled, just go Alt S, which I haven't, so I'm not doing that. So you can see
Wait a minute. Shift A. Object mode. Shift A. Currently I just... Okay.
look at that. So congratulations if you've made your first rig this way. Remember, if you've moved anything, just go A to select it all, Alt G, Alt R. And if you've scaled, just go Alt S, which I haven't, so I'm not doing that. So you can see here, it all works. So let's quickly go back into object mode. And this video is getting a bit long, so I'll quickly cover this. If you select your armature, and then holding in shift, you select the mesh, you can now go and go into weight paint. And if you hold in control and left click on any of these bones, you can actually see the weight. Now the warmer a color is, the more influence that bone has on the mesh. And the cooler it is, the less that is. And you can go control, holding it in, click on all the other bones, and you get the idea here. So what you can do now is you can actually just control left click on a bone.
Okay. Strength. Okay, so need to figure out 0.2 is 0.2. No, what about 0.1? Yeah, that's exactly what I want. Okay. Then size would be just select all pretty much. Maybe 1.5. That might be a bit too bright. But yeah, basically, there was no weight. Anyway, object mode, armature, pose mode. That did nothing. One moment. Right, we're in. Okay. No. One moment. That does nothing. Go back to object mode. Weight paint strength 0. Weight 0. Wait, can I go negative 10? No, it just defaults to 0 in that case. How do I... undo this? Let's see. Snapping? No, thank you. Clean. What? guess I'll go with average. No, thank you. Alright, I ran out of things to undo. Got it. Object mode. Armature, this guy. Weight. And texture paint, vertex. No, let's just go to weight paint and. Wait, what? Huh? Okay, blur, then. Armature. Moment. Pose mode. And then nothing.
Then you can come to all of these painting tools here, and you can go to draw, for example. You can increase the strength, the weight, and you can go F to grow the brush, just like you can do with any other brush in Blender. And at this point, you can come in here and you can kind of weight paint and make warmer the areas that you want this to have more influence on, right? And this is pretty self-explanatory. So, for example, if I go Control left click on this bone here, I might want to go and go subtract and paint away some of this influence.
Wait, but I don't have a subtract. I have a paint, blur, average, smear. Oh, yeah. So it's like they didn't give me an eraser and the essentials. Set weight. Average. Weight. Just maximum. There. That looks slightly better. Oh wait, no, this is... But this is only additive, not... Okay. Pose, yep. Objects. Alright. What do I do? Shift in? Is that? I don't know. Something does not work.
Yeah. So it doesn't affect, the neck bone doesn't affect the head as much. So yeah, pretty simple stuff, but this is not really what the video is about. This is more about learning how to use, in fact, if you go control and left click on any of these control bones, you can see the mesh just goes pink because we turned off deformation, so it didn't create any groups for that. So
Okay, object, atom. Wait, what? Parent is armature, parent type object, parent type is armature. Why did he suddenly... Armature? The hell? One moment. I need to see something very annoying. No, it doesn't seem like that fixed anything. Thankfully. Alright, so his parent type, it should be an armature. Target axis, up axis, pass axis, transform, collections, instancing, shading through the animation. Soft body. Nope, that didn't work. Alright. Modifiers, particles, physics. Material. Texture. Yeah, I have I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. Not responding. Okay. So I'm going to save as Adam 3. And I will thank you all for watching. I am like 1 or 2 steps away from finishing this. But yeah. Hopefully I may stream tomorrow. Hopefully maybe either tomorrow or next week I'll be able to debug whatever is happening. But yeah. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time.